What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Kickback Conversations. This is your boy, Brandon. I'm gonna tell you, Married at First Sight. We are talking about that today. Married at First Sight Atlanta. Now, listen, I did an episode last season on Married at First Sight, and it was so well received. Like, I got so many messages and DMs from you guys saying that you agree, you disagree. It was so much really great feedback. And I said, you know what? I got to do it again for my people. So this season, we're going to do another episode. We're going to kind of just do a short recap of the season so far, of what some of my takeaways are. We're going to actually get to some of my Patreon Kickback Conversations crew. Some of the questions that you guys have submitted, I'm going to answer in this pod for you. So thank you for your support to the pod. And I'm just going to go through all the different couples, as well as talk about my dating experience in Atlanta. Okay, so let's get to it. First and foremost, when I found out that Married at First Sight was actually going to be filmed in Atlanta, Georgia, I said, this is going to be a mess. This is going to be a disaster, because dating in Atlanta, Georgia is a disaster. A lot of you guys who know me, who've known me through the years, know I am one of the most positive, upbeat people you ever meet. I will see the good in something. I will see the positive in something, even when nobody else does, right? So I'm that kind of person. In the chaos or catastrophe, you want on your side, because I'm going to see the good. But let me tell you, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia for a few years, and dating was a disaster. It was like when somebody tells you that restaurant's not good and you hear them, but then you go to that restaurant and it's the worst food that you've ever had in your life. That was dating in Atlanta. I'll just say like a quick, funny dating story. I remember going out with somebody. We were really connecting, had a good time. We were grabbing something to eat, just talking. This particular person, she went to grad school in DC, where I'm from. And she, it was like we had some of the same experiences and stuff like that. I think we knew somebody similar to. It was just like the date was going extremely well, right? The traction was there for both of us, all of that, right? So being a gentleman that I am, I walk her to her car after we eat, and she asked me, she said, I forgot to ask you, how long have you lived in Atlanta? And I said, at that point, I had lived there for, I don't know, let's say it was like 8 months or whatever. And I said, yeah, about 8 months or whatever. And she was like, whoa. And her whole disposition changed. Like everything changed within inside of her. She was looking like, why am I here now? Like, I'm so upset. And she said, I don't know what you're trying to do with me, but you got to go sow your wild oats before, you ain't been here long enough. All these women going to be over you, on you in Atlanta, and you a good looking, straight, successful man and all that. She was just telling me all this stuff. And I was like, how did we get here? Like, we had such a good time. And she just like, I'm good. I don't want to date you anymore. I can't date you. You have to go out here and do your thing first. And I was like, whoa, welcome to Atlanta. And I remember so specifically, one of my homeboys had invited me to his church, maybe a few months after that. And I went to the church. He actually flaked. It was so funny. He actually flaked. It was like, yo, man, you got to check my church out or whatever. I go to his church, and on my way to the church, he's like, yeah, bro, my NFL team is playing, so I'm not gonna make it. I forgot. I thought it was at 4:00. It's at 1. Boy, I won't be at the church. I said, how you gonna invite somebody to church and not make it? But anyway, the funny part about it, as I was leaving that particular church, I ran into this woman. She was one of the greeters. And I kind of when you kind of had that last, the first date, at the end didn't go well. So I was just like, I ain't gonna say nothing, what's up? And she was like, hey, what's up, Brandon? Da, 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 da. How you been? Did you know I go to this church? Is that why you came today? And I was like, girl, I ain't talked to you in months. So it was just really an awkward moment. But dating in Atlanta can be very tough, right? Especially for, black folks. It can be very difficult for a number of different reasons and variables. So going to Married at First Sight, I knew this season was going to be tricky, because it's so many different factors and layers and things of Atlanta that a lot of people who don't live in Atlanta don't even really know what that's about, right? You have people there trying to invent themselves. You have people there who just think that, especially a lot of brothers who think that they, all that, because, it's the ratio or whatever. It's a lot of different factors that you deal with when you date in Atlanta. So I wanted to talk to you guys about before we get into that, and I'm going to, in this episode, just kind of go through each couple. I'm saving Chris and Paige for last, so you got to tune in because I have a really, I had some really good takeaways from them as we're analyzing their marriage and all of the things that have happened that we've seen on the show so far. But I want to just take some of our Patreon questions that I'll answer right now and kind of get you know, hopefully in the comments, you guys will give your perspective and your feedback and everything like that. Make sure you please subscribe to our pod. We love you and thank you. And shout out to our Patreon. They are the ones who make this thing go. They're the ones that make us be able to do some really incredible things every quarter, supporting single parents and just giving back and all the things that we're trying to do as a part of the podcast. All right, so first question comes from Robin. Shout out Robin, Patreon, from Washington, D.C. Why? Her question is this, it's good too. Should Married at First Sight match non-churchgoers with churchgoers? Okay, so I think she's alluding to Ryan and Clara, and we'll get to them later on about that. But to answer your question, Robin, I think that's something that should be in the intake. When they're getting to know people, when they're asking those different things, that should be something that really should be in the intake. Like, are you a churchgoer? Is that something that's important to you? Is that a value for you? Because if that's a value for one person, it's not a value for another. That means that every week you're going to have a segregated household, right? Somebody's going to be at church, somebody's not. And that could take a toll on a marriage, could take a toll on a relationship, especially if you're trying to have kids as well. The kids can become divided in that whole process of mommy's going and daddy's not, or daddy's going and mommy's not, or whatever have you. So I do feel like that should be part of the vetting process. As a relationship coach, that's something I ask people because I want to figure out how important your faith is to you. What does that look like for you? Because if that other person, that's not their jam, like that might not be a fit for you, you know? And I think that's something that's very serious. It's not like, oh, this person is a foodie and one person's not. Like, this is a much more serious value-based thing that we have to really talk about. So shout out to Robin, great question, Robin from DC. All right, next up, we got Lee from Brooklyn. Lee, what's up? Shout out to you. Thank you for supporting the pod. Lee asks, why does Paige not value herself more and know her worth? Does she want to be married this bad? Okay, so lots to unpack there. I think Paige, when it comes to like I feel like with her, it's tricky because it seems like she grew up in a two-parent household, or like her parents are people of faith, and it probably told her marriage is going to be tough, stick it out, you're going to have a lot of issues, communicate, work through it. There was times where me and your father or me and your mother, we thought we were going to work. We had things we had to overcome. So stick through it. God has a plan for your life. And I really feel like that's what she's been kind of like taught in her upbringing coming from her household. So it seems to me that she's trying to give this a chance, even though these issues are coming up from day one. They're coming up very early in the process. And they're not even like yellow flags, they're red flags. Like, I mean, just waving red flags. But I do feel like there are a segment of people just in general who really, really want to be married very, very bad. And they just like, it's like they'll put up with a lot because they like, yo, I don't want to be by myself, or I'm at a certain place and my biological clock is ticking. My marriage clock is ticking, all of those different things. So I think that's kind of the issue there. And I think that I think she is a woman of self-worth, but I think that she has been blindsided because we've never seen anything like this on the show where somebody has had this many bombshells dropped on you at the same time, you know? So not just the attraction thing and you're intimate with the person and then they're not attracted to you and then they got a baby on the way and then they still got feelings for their ex. And I mean, it's just like bombshell after bombshell. They have a hot temper. They don't communicate. They're clashing with other people. So it's so many different things to unpack there. And I think that hopefully we're rooting for Paige. You know, I'm rooting for everybody black in Paige. All right. Another question from Tracy from Philly. She says, Do you think Chris is using Paige's faith to manipulate her? This is a good question. Thank you, Tracy, for the question. I do. I feel that there are some people of faith who, and I don't want to be in a position to judge anybody's faith or where they're coming from or what they believe in or what they don't believe in. That's not for me to judge. It's only for God to judge. But what I do think, the Bible says that, by their fruits you will know them. And I think the fruits that Chris himself said on the episode when they were at the dinner table after he had to blow up with Virginia and Clara, he said, I have not been a man of God, because he has not been a good example of a man of faith on this season. He hasn't. He said it with his own lips. Even when him and Paige sat down and they prayed and everything like that, he was like, oh, okay. He said a little prayer, but it's like he has not illustrated to Paige what a man of God looks like. And I think he's also taken some of those things, and he knows that her heart is faithful and into God. And I think he is using some of that level of manipulation when it comes to these things that is just uncalled for. And that's one thing I always say. You can play with a lot of stuff. Don't play with God. Don't play with God. And I'm gonna get on Chris a little later and tell you what kind of guy I think he is, because I've seen this guy before. Chris is not an original. I've seen him before, especially in Atlanta. I've seen that brother. That's a lot of them brothers like that. Yeah. So we'll get to that a little later. Thank you, Tracy, for the great comment. I think we'll take a couple more. Jen from Arlington, Virginia. Shout out, Jen. What's up? Thank you for supporting the pod. She says, do you feel what Chris is doing to Paige is a form of emotional abuse? Great question, Jen, and I do. Anytime that you are physical with somebody, anytime that you are at that level of commitment in a marriage situation or relationship situation, no matter if it's a weekend or what have you, and you let this person continue to waffle in the wind because you're not really firm on the decision that you want to make or what you want, or if you want to be with them, or if you want to be with their ex, that's emotional abuse. And he puts it in the way of, oh, I'm just being, real with you, or, I'm just real honest and da 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 da. But he's not really being understanding of her feelings and what she signed up for. And they took vows. Like, this is really, really controlling, I would say, in some ways, because I feel like if you knew that you were not attracted to this young lady when you went on the show and you went through with this, the physical element should not have been introduced. It just shouldn't have. Like, that is irresponsible as a man. He allowed his hormones or alcohol or whatever it was to get in the way of that, because I feel like that's when you start playing with somebody. And that's when you become hot grits eligible. Everybody know them hot grits. Look, when you get to a woman, when she looking at them grits on the stove and she's stirring and she looking at you like, yeah, you about to be eligible for these. Like, that's when you get to a bad place. And I think he has had some level of emotional abuse when it comes to Paige, with this roller coaster of emotions that he's taking her through. And I think part of that with Chris is Chris does not know who Chris is. Right? So it's hard to be conscious or aware or sensitive to somebody else's needs, what they need, when you're not aware of who you are. And I feel like his family has insulated him. I feel like his family has not allowed him to take accountability for being a man and stepping up and those kind of things. And I think that they've created a monster. They've created somebody who is used to just saying whatever he wants to say or doing whatever he wants to do, without any level of consequence. Thank you for that question, Jen. Great question. And all right, so number 5 is from Dre from Los Angeles. What's up, Dre? Out in LA, man. Appreciate you supporting the pod. He says, yo, Brandon, I did not like how Chris was talking to Virginia and Clara. It was mad disrespectful. He's probably from New York originally. All right, what's up, Dre? He says, what should Chris have done differently? Okay. So here's my thing. Everybody saw the episode where Chris is talking to Claire and Virginia's like, I'm here to support Paige. I don't really care about you. I'm supporting, my girl. As a man, I've learned this and I've seen this in my life. it's never a good thing for you to engage in an argumentative situation with a young lady and think that's going to go well, right? Especially with a young lady who's married, got a man right there. Like it can go so many different ways. What I think in that situation when Virginia and Clara, they say how they feel, especially Virginia, because she was coming kind of hard at them. I would have been like, yo, Virginia, I respect how you feel. That's your girl, like y'all, I get that. And I'd have been like, all right, thank y'all for, I appreciate it. And I would have walked away. I don't feel like it's worth it to continue to have a conversation. And it makes you look kind of weak, like a weak dude. Like, why are you sitting here arguing, getting in the face of a woman, man? Like, that's some weak stuff, right? And I think, you have to be better than that. Like, no matter if she was a little, drunk or she had a little something to drink, or she was sober, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just not appropriate for you to come at a woman like that and get in her face and, all this other stuff and come, tit for tat. It's like, are you auditioning to be be a housewife on Atlanta, bro? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's messy stuff that grown men, we just don't get involved in. And you become the bigger person. Like, it's no upside for that. And not to mention, you talking to another man's woman like this. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I ain't going to hold you. If, as a man, when you have a woman and some other man wants to be all up in her face, or he wants to be yelling and screaming and talking to her any kind of way, we got a misunderstanding. We have a problem that it has to be addressed. And I'm not mad at Eric later on checking him and saying, bro, you can't talk to my wife like that. Now, I will say, I think I would have done it differently. At the dinner table, I would have said, Chris, hey man, can I holler at you for a second? And I would have pulled him to the side and just had a man-to-man conversation with him, and just real respectful, and been like, yo, I appreciate that. Look, if you have problems, man, you can address it with me, but look, you can't talk to my wife like that, bro. You know what I mean? That's just not a good look. You know what I mean? And please, can we just not, let's make this not happen again. We had a conversation, but to the side. I think when he did it at the table, it creates a different dynamic, and then people start feeling attacked. All of us have been at work at some point, at a corporate job or government, whatever you do, and when somebody calls you out in front of everybody, your peers, your reaction is different than if they pull you to a side and address it in a respectful manner. So I think that could have been a different thing, but to your point, Dre, nah, bro, we not having nobody talk like, we're not doing that. All right, I'm gonna take a couple more. Let me see, we got Melissa from New Orleans. She asks, Melissa from New Orleans, Louisiana says, how should Eric address Virginia's alcoholism with her now that they are married? Great question. Thank you, Melissa. Shout out New Orleans. What up, baby? I think that I agree with you. I think that he needs to address that, because evidently it seems like there's an issue there. There's a problem there, that she always needs a drink. I think there's some people who say, hey, I want to go out. I want to have a drink with a friend or whatever, or they want to have a glass of wine with a dinner. You can understand those things, but it seems like she's always intoxicated. It seems like she's always in the morning, afternoon, evening. It doesn't matter what time of day. She need a drink, right? You know what I mean? And I think that has not been a good look. And I think that he should address that with her in the sense of saying, hey, listen, our future's so bright. I want to, go with this future with you, but we have to address this because it can cause issues. And she sees it as a problem. Like, I think he needs to hit it head on, and maybe find her some help, or just do something to help his wife in that regard, because I feel like that it's going to rear itself even more in an ugly way as they get deeper into their marriage, and find out what's the catalyst besides her just wanting a drink. Is it something that she gets anxiety with? That she gets stressed? Like where is this coming from that makes her feel like she needs to have a drink? I think that's how I would approach it. But definitely, I think he should address it. All right, and I think we got one more. So I'll take one more question. Last one. We got Ro from Baltimore. Shout out Ro. She asks, she was a question for the experts about Chris. Like, did they do a thorough background check, a psych evaluation? because there were so many red flags that were clear, even at the wedding reception and so forth or whatever. Great question. Thank you, Ro, for that question. I think that they should have done a little bit. I mean, I think Married at First Sight does a lot of digging. And I will say this too, and to keep it in context, I think you don't have a lot of men who are just readily excited about doing Married at First Sight, especially black men. I'm gonna be honest with you. So I think the pickings are kind of slim. I don't think that they had like the best of the best and brightest, honestly, who were just, oh yeah, sign me up, you know. So I think when you have a smaller pool to pull from, you can make mistakes, and I think that's the thing that they should have done a little bit more due diligence on. I think it's hard for the baby thing because we don't know if that young lady was telling anybody, you know, that she was pregnant and all that kind of stuff like that. It was something she was keeping private. So I don't know if they could have done due diligence on that, even if they were to interview her. So I think that was kind of the thing, but I think they could have spent a little bit more time with him. But I believe not only did he manipulate Paige, he might have manipulated Dr. Pepper and Viviana and Pastor Kyle, because I feel like they all kind of like got swept into his web of manipulation. So great question, Ro. Hopefully this season will be a learning lesson for the experts as well, that maybe they need to do a little bit more when it comes to screening eligible candidates to be on the show, to make sure they're getting the right type of people to go forward, so that they don't have that this Paige Chris incident does not happen again. So now that we got our Patreon questions out the way, shout out to all those folks and continue to support patreon.com/kickback conversations. I wanted to go do an overview of what I feel about each couple, right? And I'm gonna start with Jacob and Haley. Jacob's kind of a weird guy. He's a kind of a weird guy. Anybody who's eating nothing but red meat and eggs, I'm a little concerned about their life. You know what I mean? That's not a normal thing. It's a little weird. It's a little strange. And I think that, yeah, he's a weird guy. But as we kind of are getting to know Jacob more in his marriage, because I feel like we didn't really have a handle of him before, he seems like he's really in this. He seems like he really wants to make it work with Haley. And try to see what they can do. The thing that I've noticed about them from the very start, it just doesn't seem like Jacob and Haley have a lot of chemistry. And chemistry is something that you cannot teach. It's not something that you can just, you know, happens overnight. It's like you kind of have it or you don't. And I don't feel like Jacob and Haley have a lot of chemistry. I feel like their chemistry is lacking, which makes it hard for their relationship to unfold. In a recent episode, we've seen that they were intimate, and now Jacob feels like Haley's acting different toward him, which is funny because that's a lot of times what happens with the woman, where the woman is intimate with the man starts acting different, right? So we see this kind of role reversal, and she's not necessarily communicating as much as she wants to. Maybe she's trying to spare his feelings, but I just really feel like Jacob and Haley, I don't think they're going to make it. I don't think so, because it doesn't seem like they have that natural chemistry, and that she really wants to move forward and go forward. And of course, I mean, he was kind of weird. He was talking about his house and himself a lot early in the show, you know, about, his sauna and all this other stuff. And everybody was like, okay, right, you know? So I think that was a thing. But I will say, if it's true, what we heard, that Haley said in Vegas that she was going for a girls' night. And then he went downstairs later on and found her talking to all the couples, and they like scattered because she didn't want to be with him. I think that's just wrong. Even if you don't necessarily want, like, I just feel like be real. Like, if you're in a relationship, like, be real in that relationship and say, hey, I just need some time. I just need some me time for a couple hours. Like, and I think your partner should understand that. We all need me time. We all need time to unwind or just whatever. But to lie about it, because I always tell people, reverse it. If Jacob was lying, saying, yeah, I'm gonna go hang with the fellas, and then he was hanging with all the couples because he didn't want to be around Haley, like, we would have went in on Jacob, right? So I just feel like we need to really address that. And I like, they seem like cool people overall, but I don't think they're gonna make it, unfortunately. So Jacob and Haley, I hope you guys find love, man, in another way, because it doesn't seem like that's gonna be the couple that makes it. Ryan and Clara, all right, interesting couple. Clara was that like flight attendant. She's like that girl who got a little flavor to her. You know what I mean? You can tell she dated some brothers in the past. You know what I'm saying? And she admitted that, in the show and that kind of thing. She's very kind of spunky, spicy, fun. And Ryan to me is somebody who's very just straight-laced, kind of, very routine, very comfortable in those routines. So I think the experts, when they match them, were thinking that could balance each other out, that she can make him have more fun, but he could also provide some level of stability for her when it comes to just like day in, day out routine and all that kind of stuff. It seems like they're doing okay. It seems like they've kind of bought into the process of we want to be married, and we want to see this through. We want to get to know each other through this process. I think their biggest challenge so far has just been the religion thing. It seems to me that Clara grew up in a environment where maybe like she grew up with organized religion and something went wrong, and she kind of alluded to, and it's hard to come back from that because those are some deep scars that she probably has with her faith that she has to work through, right? So Ryan is gonna have to be super patient with her on that. And instead of maybe like forcing her to go to church or throwing a whole bunch of church stuff at her, I think what he's gonna have to do is be extremely patient and loving and caring. And his parents are gonna have to be the same way. And that Clara falls in love with Jesus through their actions and how she's being treated by them, rather than all the other different things that maybe she's has some hesitancy with, and maybe it will work. So we'll see. I think it's a big question when you're having kids with somebody, how you want to raise them. Are they going to go to church? Like, are we doing devotion as a family and family worship? Like, all of those different dynamics come into play with faith that I think you have to get resolved and you have to like really, really work out. So Ryan and Claire, I think they're going to work. I have a feeling. I just have a feeling that they're going to work. I just think that they're committed to it. It seems like they come from two really good families that want this to work. They have an infrastructure and a network of a village of people who want them to work. And I think that they're going to figure it out. I think Ryan has a temperament that is actually really good for Clara from what we've seen so far. He's not a hothead or whatever. He's just a steady guy. And I think that's going to steady her and allow her to, be who she wants to be. I think one of the episodes he was saying kind of like, we don't have to always say what we think. I don't think he was trying to censor her. I think he was trying to say like, yo, sometimes we just gotta let things go, because it can make things worse if we're always involved in that kind of stuff like that. So Ryan and Claire, I think they're gonna work. I think it's our first interracial couple that we've ever seen on Married at First Sight, which is interesting to see that dynamic work. I think it plays a little bit better too, because as Ryan has admitted, he's grown up in majority white schools and that kind of thing. So I think that it's probably a not as a big transition for him or her because of how their dating habits have been and their background has been, and getting into this interracial relationship. All right, Eric and Virginia. The pilot and the party girl, that's what I call them. Eric, so I think Eric is a guy who is steady. He really wants to be married again. His first one wasn't a real marriage. It was kind of like a, whatever. And I think that he really wants that for her. I think he has some really strong opinions of how he feels about things that Virginia is just like, She is somebody who does not want to be tamed. And any man who tries to tame her, she's going to bucket that. So I think that he's going to have to find a different way to communicate his messaging. Some of the things that he's saying, I feel like he's talking good things. Like I hear him on like guy friends. Like it can be challenging. We had a whole pod last year about opposite sex best friends, right? So it can be challenging in any relationship. But I think he's going to have to really be a really excellent communicator as he navigates this with her. But it seems like they both want to make it work. It seems like he has a level of stability that she desperately needs. And she has this youthful energy that makes him feel young. So they have an age difference. I think it's one of the first times we've seen the kind of that age difference. Even with Jacob and Haley's a little age difference. But it seems like it works really well with Eric and Virginia. So I think that we'll see in the coming weeks how that all shakes out and go from there. But I do feel like the alcoholism part, he's gonna have to address with her. I think him being a pilot and being away at times, they're still gonna have to figure that thing out, and they're gonna have to work that thing out as well. But I feel like they are committed to working this out. I feel like even though I don't think Virginia is somebody who's ready for marriage, ready to be a wife or a mom, I have a lot of questions with that, with her level of maturity and her lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. If she's ready to take on that, I think she's gonna see it through, because I believe that she believes that Eric is a really good man that really does adore her. And I think she wants that stability, and she wants that. So I think they're going on decision day, choose to move forward. We'll see if I'm right. But I think that's the case. Want to hear your comments in the post and see how you guys feel about Eric and Virginia. All right, Vincent and Brianna. Vincent's my favorite guy on the show. I like Vincent, man. Vincent, cool, man. Vincent is like a real expressive brother. Remind me of myself a little bit. Like, he's not afraid to tell his lady, like, yo, I really appreciate you having my back. Like, you got me, man. Like, you good, like, and I think being an entrepreneur, like, having that support is really big for him, because he's not doing it for himself. He's doing it for his family, his legacy, and for his wife, and his future kids and all that kind of stuff. So I think he's a good-hearted guy who really wants to be here. He really wants to be married, and I think their chemistry seems like it's really electric. It seems like they have the best chemistry on the entire show this season. It's just very natural for them to be around each other. I think they just enjoy each other. But they're gonna have some growing pains, as you kind of already see that he wants to be the leader. He wants to be the man, and Brianna is kind of bossy, and she's a little direct. She's a little strong. I don't know if she's used to having that role of being a little bit less, as far a little more submissive in that regard. But I think to make their marriage work, they're gonna have to figure that balance out of how they talk to each other, how they want to be talked to, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm rooting for Vincent and Brianna. I think they're gonna work. I think they're gonna go past decision day, and good things are gonna happen for them. It seems like they just are a solid couple, and that they want to figure anything out together, and that they want to be here. They're committed to the process. And like people, I've heard people say for years, marriage is a process. It's a choice every day. I want to be here. I want to make it work. I want to figure it out. We're gonna have some tough days, some rough days. We're gonna have some challenges that we didn't see coming. But it seems like Vincent and Brianna have the good friendships and good people around them, and they at heart are good people who really wanted to work, and I'm rooting for them. Last but not least, we're gonna get to Chris and Paige. So much to say, so little time. So I'm not gonna hold you, but Chris, to me, is an arrogant, materialistic, insecure, manipulative man who you have to watch out for. He is definitely the wolf in sheep's clothing. And I'm gonna point a couple things out for you guys. Number one, and I think I mentioned it on another pop. This brother, the first question he asked his new wife, Paige, was, well, what do you do? He gotta watch people like Chris. Chris is the kind of guy who asks you a question, ladies, not because he wants to hear the answer you give, but he wants you to take that question and ask it back to him. Because as soon as she said, oh, well, what do you do? I'm the youngest black owner of a restaurant franchise. I got this going on. And like, he wanted to just go in. He asked her, the second question was, do you have a tattoo? She asked him, do you have a tattoo? Oh, actually I do. I just covered it up because I was engaged. And like, he's trying to ask you questions so you'll ask it back to him. That's not somebody trying to have a conversation. That's somebody with an agenda. Yes, an agenda. So I think that's a big part that we have to really kind of notice day one. Then we get to the reception, and his dad was like super disrespectful. Like, yeah, she got a body. His dad looked like Spice Adams. Everybody has said it. I know it. His dad looked like Spice Adams doing like this, you know? He looked like the old man at the club who be like, hey, let me buy you a drink, little lady. Who smells like Old Spice. He got a Jesus piece on. You know what I'm saying? He got the linen two piece on. You know that guy. Yeah. That's his dad. The old creepy dude, right? And I think that's mad disrespectful for your dad to be checking out her body at the reception. You just met this lady for 5 minutes and she got a body on it though. I ain't gonna hold you, you know? So I think that was respectful. And he didn't say anything. He didn't check it or whatever. Having your dad or your boys or everybody looking at your wife like she like raw meat, bro. Like I don't think that was a good look. And then to say to her friends, this is your first time you meeting her friends, and you talking about, yeah, I just think that, she's not the woman I traditionally wanted, but she what I need. Whoa. Did that come out your mouth? Like, what? And I just think that he says stuff that just really is really reckless. A lot of you guys have asked too, like, should her friends have said something to her? I think yes. I think you don't know this guy. You just met this guy for the first time. I know y'all are married now, but I feel like as a friend, you need to let that person know that conversation. Whatever Paige is going to do with that information is her business. But maybe she wouldn't have slept with him night one. Maybe she would have waited, you know what I mean? And maybe things would and let things play out a little bit more and all that kind of stuff. But I just feel like he was reckless with her friends and saying all kind of crazy stuff out his mouth that was just not good. And I think Paige is the kind of woman, she seems very well-rounded. She seems like the kind of woman that most men want, you know what I mean, to settle down with. Because she got like that like spiritual side. She's really sweet. She seems very positive. She got herself together. She got a little sensual side, you know what I mean? Like she got all of the different sides to her that most men would do anything to find that type of woman, you know what I mean? And I think that, it's really sad. It saddens me that all of her talent and ability and who she is as a person is being wasted on Chris, right? And this is the funny part. All of y'all have been dragging Chris. Would y'all want Chris, who seemingly has a little bit of money or change in his pocket, or would you want broke Lawrence on the couch? Because y'all drag Lawrence from Insecure. I bet many of y'all ladies will sign up for Lawrence now. He'd be sleeping right on that couch if it was between Chris and Lawrence. and I think another thing, Chris also said that he had a decision to make. He got a job when he was in Florida. And the decision was about, do I get a car or do I get an apartment? He chose a car. Ladies, is that the man that you want to make financial decisions as a husband for the rest of your life? I'll wait. No, he's reckless. And then to get to like I said, him not wanting to tell Paige, him sleeping with her, and then the next day telling her, oh, I'm not attracted to you. But you just had sex with me twice last night or this morning, and you ain't attracted? So that told me the character of who that person is too, right? And then again, she talks to his parents, and the parents are like, and the first question when she opens up and she's trying to get some clarity because she feels probably hurt as a woman having just slept with this man who's now her husband, and then him saying he's not attracted to her. And the first thing that the mother says is what? Was alcohol involved, baby? Come on, ma'am. From woman to woman, that's the first question you ask your new daughter-in-law who's opening up to you? Not okay. And I just feel like the whole baby situation, he has just not handled it the right way. And Chris is the kind of person who's going to do his thing. He's going to have emotional outbursts. He's going to have reckless behavior. He's going to have anger issues. And he's going to be the dude who puts a nice suit on, takes you out to dinner and apologizes and says it's never going to happen again. And it's going to happen the next day, right? So you have to ask yourself as a woman, do you want to be caught in this cycle of abuse? Do you want to be caught in this maze of misunderstandings and making you feel inadequate? Or do you want better for yourself? So I do not think Chris and Paige will make it, for the record. I hope that Chris and Paige do not make it. because I don't feel like Chris is a good human being. I think he's been exposed. And any guy out there like a Chris, bro, you got to do better. And you got to watch your back because hot grits is coming, bro. I'm trying to tell y'all keep out here playing with these women's feelings and marrying them and telling me you're not attracted to them. And now I am attracted to you spiritually and all. You just playing a lot of games, bro. Got to be careful, man, because it's not the right way to roll. Public service announcement. Do not mess with these ladies out here like they with their emotions, because it can go real bad, bro. You know what I'm saying? For your safety, bro. I'm just telling you man to man. So this season has been, man, it's been a lot. And we're not even through it yet. I can't wait to hear you guys' comments. What you think, who's going to make it for decision day? What you would do in each relationship if you were one of these couples, whether it be Chris and Paige or Vincent or Brianna. I do like it that we do have, two black couples, one who are doing things the right way. They seem like they are a healthy black couple, and one who's not on the same show. It gives us the contrast of what's going on and what many of us face who are, when you're dating and you're getting to know people and you have friends who are dating, you see the two different contrasts. And I feel like that hopefully we can get better from it. We can avoid those pitfalls and go from there. So also in the comments, I want y'all to answer this. Would you get married at first sight? Like, would you do it? Like, would you go on the show? Like, would you commit to that process? Right? I don't know, right? So let's see. I love to hear from you guys. But this has been another episode of Kickback Conversations. Married at First Sight Atlanta. What? What is going on? Like, what is going on? Peace up, A-Town down. All of that good stuff. We out of here. We'll see y'all next time.